In this Algebra Nation video, we will finish problem number 3 on page 94. But why don't you take a brain break first? Because whatever you do, don't do this on the EOC. That would be a 398 or lower. Epic fail.
We have two different equations. What do we see? Two different equations, two variables, x and y. We can use these equations and actually do what? We can use these equations and solve for x and y. We can find a solution. So let's rewrite both of our equations that we have. The first one was 12,000 equals x plus y. What was our second equation? We had 440 is equal to 0.03 times x. So x times 0.03, how else can we write that? 0.03x is the same thing as 0.03 times x, or x times 0.03. Plus, what do we have here? Y times 0.04. 0.04y. Well, now we have our two equations. So how do we want to solve? Well, we could solve by substitution. We could solve by elimination. If we really wanted to get crazy, we could solve by what? Graphing. But that's not going to be really good here. So let's go ahead and do elimination. Let's do elimination. So when we do elimination, we want to be able to cancel out one of our variables. So we want a positive and a negative. We want them to be able to cancel out. So what do I want to do? If I have a 0.03x here, I would want this to be negative 0.03x. So when you add them together, they would cancel out and be 0. So what would I do to get this x to be negative 0.03x? I would multiply. Right, I'm going to multiply everything in my top equation by negative 0.03. Let's see what happens when I do that. If I multiply everything by negative 0.03, when you do these elimination problems, every single thing needs to be multiplied by that term. So we have negative 0.03, so 0.03, make it a negative, times 12,000, we have negative 360 equals, well, negative 0.03 times x gives you what? Negative 0.03x. Negative 0.03 times y gives you a minus 0.03y. Well, now what do we do? We're going to add our equations together. We're going to combine them. Let's see what happens when we do that. We get 440 minus 360. So 440 minus 360, that gives us $80. So we have $80 on our left. Now let's see what happens. 0.03x minus 0.03x. What happens when you combine those? They cancel out. Let's look at our next one. 0.04y minus 0.03y. 0.04 minus 0.03 is going to leave us with 0.01y. 0.04 minus 0.03 gives us 0.01y. Well, all we need to do now is get y by itself. So y is being multiplied by 0.01. Let's divide both sides by 0.01. So we get y equals, what's 80 divided by 0.01? 80 divided by 0.01. Whoop, calculator mistake. 80 divided by 0.01. And I get $8,000. $8,000, the amount invested at 4% interest. Remember, we called y. The amount invested at 4% interest is $8,000. Is that what we're trying to figure out? No. Our ultimate goal for this problem is to figure out x, the amount invested at what? At 3%. Well, let's look at our original equation. Remember, we know that $12,000 is the total amount of money that she invests. Some of it, Katie is investing at 3%. Some of it, she's investing at 4%. Well, we know how much she's investing at 4%. She's investing $8,000. So if she's investing $8,000 at 4%, and she has a total of $12,000 to invest, how much does she have left to invest at 3%? Well, let's solve for it. $12,000 is the amount that she invests at 3%, plus the amount that she invests at 4%, which we know is $8,000. Well, what do? Just subtract $8,000. 12,000 minus 8,000 gives us $4,000. So what Katie is doing is she's taking her $12,000 and she's saying, all right, I'm going to put $4,000 in at 3%, I'm going to put $8,000 at 4%. When she does that, she earns $440 worth of interest. So when you're doing a systems problem like this, pay attention to what you're actually asking for to solve. In this question, we wanted the amount that she was investing at 3%. We were trying to solve for x. And when we worked through our problem, we ended up with y. But that's okay, because we can just plug in that value of y into our equation, to our first equation, and we can solve for the value of x. Simple as that.